Hello everyone, my name is Monique and welcome to my channel. Today I am just kind of going to be sharing with you a little bit about what I've been going through more recently, which has led me to take basically a month off of YouTube and just really wiped me out. If you don't know, I have chronic fatigue syndrome and I've been struggling with this for 4 years now. It's really difficult and kind of hard to explain, but I wanted to make an attempt at that today. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome in September of 2020, and it actually was really hard to get this diagnosis because chronic fatigue syndrome is what I like to call a process of elimination illness. The reason why I say that is basically the way that you get diagnosed is everything else that could be causing the fatigue has to be ruled out or eliminated before getting diagnosed. So basically, when you get a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome, the doctor is basically saying, we have looked into every other possibility and proved that none of those are the cause of your fatigue, and we still don't know what the cause of your fatigue is, therefore you have chronic fatigue syndrome. And as someone who at the time was 20 years old and had less energy than my grandparents in their 80s, doctors didn't really necessarily take me seriously because what 20-year-old can't go on more than a 40-minute walk without having to take a nap and then doesn't have the energy to do anything else the rest of the day. Luckily, I was able to find one doctor who believed me and took me seriously. That is the doctor that I got my diagnosis from and who helped me just try a bunch of things basically, and then eventually got my energy up. So I actually am able to be independent even with chronic fatigue syndrome, which is awesome and why I would consider myself to have a mild case of it. However, the fatigue is not completely gone. There are definitely days or even periods of my life where I don't feel like I'm fatigued, but then the fatigue will come back, and it will come back for seemingly no reason. Now, obviously, if I'm not taking care of myself properly, and then the fatigue comes and I'm like, okay, my bad. But most of the time when it comes back, I actually am taking care of myself, and it just comes without reason. And the thing with the fatigue is I don't know why it's there, and I don't know how long it's going to be there, and I don't know when it's going to go away or what potentially would trigger it going away, if anything. I have actually had 3 months in a row where I was fatigued every single day, and I didn't really have much energy to do anything. So whenever I get fatigued and it seems to be going on for like a week, and then 2 weeks, and then 3 weeks, it's a little nerve-wracking because I don't know how long it's going to be there for, especially now. I'm living alone, I'm by myself, I have a job that I have to go to and that I have to get myself to, and nobody else can take care of me except for myself. So if I don't have the energy to do normal everyday things, I'm kind of out of luck. Like, I'm just gonna be suffering because no one else can do it for me. I have to do it. I moved from California to Pennsylvania at the beginning of December last year, 2022. And my fatigue was actually okay when I first got here. And then I would say I started to feel fatigued maybe a month ago. And I've pretty much just been feeling fatigue ever since. The fatigue this time around started out pretty mild, which is sort of what I'm used to nowadays, where, you know, maybe I'm feeling kind of low energy throughout the entire day, and then maybe in the afternoon, sometimes even the morning, I feel so fatigued that I can't do anything except take a nap. So I take a nap, and it could be anywhere from like 30 minutes to 2 to 3 hours. And then once I get up from my nap, I am still feeling low energy, but I have enough energy to do things. Like if I want to do some work on my computer, I can do that. If I want to go out for a walk, I can do that. If I need to go grocery shopping, I can do that. But over time, this was just happening every day, and then it was getting worse, which once again isn't like totally out of the norm for me. My fatigue really ramped up, I would say maybe a week and a half ago after getting back from a work trip. I left on this work trip. It was 2 days long, and then I came back and I had a good time on the trip. You know, everything went well. I got back, I felt fine. And then the next day I woke up and I felt so fatigued the entire day. And then even the next day, I felt so fatigued that all I did was watch YouTube videos all day. I was on the couch. I didn't do anything. I had plans. I wanted to go walk a dog at a nearby animal shelter. It was a really chill day. I wanted to make myself dinner and I wanted to work out and shower. That was all I had on my agenda for the day, but I didn't do a single one of those things because I just literally couldn't get off the couch. So I had many days like this. I was taking naps, but I didn't feel energized at all when I woke up. And I want to say maybe the third day of feeling this extreme fatigue, I was super sick. So clearly the fatigue was triggered by getting sick. But I was actually really, discouraged, because the week after this business trip, I had a really important thing at work that I needed to be there for and that I actually wanted to be there for, which was an audit. So I am a resident dietitian for a school district, and what happens is once every 5 years, the state will pick 2 schools from every school district to audit, which basically just means they visit the school, they observe the food service staff serving meals, they look at the logs and things like that and just make sure that everything is working as it should. And this was something that my supervisor really wanted me to be there for, and I also wanted to be there to actually witness an audit because I had been working on preparing for it, and I had been helping other school districts prepare for their audits, but I had never actually seen one. And so I was really discouraged because come the week of the audit, I am so sick. And if you know anything about food service, you know you cannot go in to work when you're sick because you can spread things through you touching things after you've coughed or sneezed, or accidentally getting germs into the food that's going to all the children who have very fragile immune systems. So like you can't do that. So I could not come into work. And then actually I had my last National Nutrition Month event, which was something I was doing for work that week as well. And I was traveling to another school district and I had to reschedule that, and I was very, very disappointed. But let me tell you, that was the least of my problems, because not only did I have a little bit of a sore throat, not only was I coughing, sneezing, tons of snot just being generated by my body, ridiculous. I was super fatigued. I couldn't do anything for days and days and days and days. I'm just on the couch watching YouTube. I'm on my bed watching YouTube. I'm taking naps. I'm feeling horrible. I can't leave the house. There was even at one point where I like felt good in the morning and I went to a trail that I really like to walk on. And this has never happened to me, but after turning around and making it maybe like 75% of the way back, I started to feel so fatigued. I was nervous that I was not going to be able to safely drive myself home. I also started to feel really gross and kind of frustrated with myself, because there came a day where I was like, even if I don't work out tonight, I need to shower. Like, it's overdue. And I was so fatigued that I didn't shower. Like, I literally just didn't have the energy. And so I went to bed early. I was so freezing in my apartment, which is set at like 70 degrees. I was freezing, shivering, and I put on my warmest pajamas. I had socks on. I never sleep with socks. I go to bed And then I'm simultaneously shivering while also sweating. And at some point in the morning the next day, I felt the sheets under me and they felt like there was sweat in it. You know, like it was like a little bit wet. And I just felt so gross because at that point I hadn't showered for almost a whole week, which I never do. I was honestly so scared to get in the shower because I didn't want to like fall asleep, hurt myself. I also have hypotension with symptoms, so if it gets too hot in the shower, I can actually faint. And once again, I live alone, so I was really nervous about showering, but I just felt so disgusting. And I would say that was definitely a low for me. Additionally, I found myself sleeping 12 hours a night and I still felt fatigued. I still didn't have energy to do anything. And honestly, like it just became really hard for me to get out of bed in the morning. Now, my fatigue has made it very hard for me to get out of bed in the morning, but this was different. When I'm fatigued and it's hard for me to get out of bed in the morning, it's hard because I haven't been moving for many hours, you know, while I've been sleeping, and I'm really comfortable and my body's just like not used to the movement yet. So I have to kind of force myself to get up and start moving, and then I get a little bit of energy back and I can continue with my morning. And in those situations, I want to get out of bed. Like I'm ready, I have stuff I want to do for the day, I'm looking forward to the day. So even though my body physically doesn't really want to move, my mind's like, let's go. Like I got stuff I want to do, and I just, you know, it takes me a little bit longer when I'm fatigued in the morning, but I'm able to move and do what I need to do. But more so recently, I have been feeling like I don't want to get out of bed. Not I can't get out of bed, or it's a little bit more difficult for me to get out of bed, but like I just want to stay in bed all day. I think I've been feeling a little depressed because this is something that's never happened to me before. I've never not wanted to get out of bed in the morning. I've been through some pretty traumatic things and had some really dark periods in my life, but I've always wanted to get out of bed in the morning. Like I've always had hope, and I've always just, honestly, like I just get tired of sleeping. In fact, I probably would say that I see sleeping more as a nuisance rather than something that I look forward to. Like if I didn't have to sleep, I would rather not sleep and just do other stuff. Sleeping has never really sounded good to me, if that makes sense, but now that's kind of all I feel like doing. Recently, I've been having a pretty hard time, as you probably can tell. I've been sick, I've been super fatigued, I kind of just felt like gross with myself, like when I couldn't shower for almost a week. And then I didn't even say this, but also for the past 2 weeks, I've only worked out twice, and each of those times I worked out for 30 minutes, which I never work out for 30 minutes. Minimum, I work out 45 minutes. But I literally just haven't been able to. So the fact that I have only worked out twice in 2 weeks, normally I'm working out 4 days per week, so that would be 8 normally. It's very discouraging. And then of course I miss all these work things that I have been looking forward to for weeks. I'm feeling depressed. Also, there was the last YouTube video that I posted about how to stop caring what people think of you and take control of your life. That I filmed like a month ago, and I have had to sit down and edit it probably in like 3 different sittings, maybe even 4 sittings, just because there was so much to edit in it. But then also I just couldn't stand to watch myself for that long, because it's just a sitting down talking video like this one is, and it was just too much. Like I don't know what it was, but I would like sit there and edit for like 4 hours, and I was like, I literally can't do this, and I wouldn't look at it for another week. And then there came a point where actually I was sick and I was fatigued on the couch, and I was able to get myself to edit a little bit, but I had to stop because there was a point where I wanted to add a little voiceover, and I couldn't because my voice sounded so sick. I mean, I guess I could have, but it would have sounded really weird. I was also just really frustrated that it was taking me so long to edit this video, and from the outside looking in, it looks like I was just being lazy or something. Like obviously I have short videos on my channel, but the longer videos take more time and more energy, and it just kind of seemed like I was just falling off of that. When really I had a video that was all in my phone, filmed, partially edited, but I just had to finish it. And obviously with all of this going on, that made it really difficult. Other things that were really difficult about the past week and a half is that I found it extremely hard to eat. Now I have other issues with nausea, but I wasn't nauseous. I just, for some reason, it was so hard to get food into me. And I'm someone where like, even if I don't want to eat, even if I'm a little bit nauseous, depending on where the nausea is coming from, I can still get myself to eat, and I will eat at least 3 meals a day, because I know that that is so important, and it's important to me because health is important to me. But I found it so extremely hard to eat these past 2 weeks, and I'm pretty much convinced that I lost a little bit of weight. It's really frustrating because I do have to work to maintain my weight. It's a little bit more difficult for me. And so when I go through periods where it's hard for me to eat, then obviously I'm a little frustrated because I know that I'm sort of like losing a little bit of my progress. So I really wasn't eating many snacks. My meals were much smaller. I even had one day where like I just couldn't, anything that I could think of to eat, I couldn't. So I just had like a snacky meal. One day in particular that I was sick really stands out because it's probably the worst mental health day that I've had in years. And I still don't really understand it. Basically, I was sick on this day, right? Like I didn't feel good. I had a headache, and I had this headache in the morning. Like it just kind of came on randomly, and I took medication for it, just over-the-counter medication. And like normally, for one thing, I rarely get headaches. And when I do, I just take a couple pills of acetaminophen and I'm good. Like I'm fine, it goes away. But this particular day, the headache would not go away. Towards the end of the day, it seemed to be getting worse. This was a day where I was completely fatigued on the couch all day, just watching YouTube videos and feeling like a loser. Come dinner time, I didn't feel like eating, but I made myself a microwavable meal. And this is a meal that I have pretty often. Like I've really been enjoying it. It's a Michelina's pizza rolls, I think they're called. And so basically it tastes like you're eating like mini pizzas. And I really like this meal. And so because I really didn't want to eat and I didn't feel good, I was like, let me make a meal that I like. That is super easy. Like you just put it in the microwave for like a minute and a half. And so I'm eating this meal and it's so hard for me to eat. And I'm just not even sure how to describe this because it wasn't nausea or anything. It just, for some reason, like I would just put it in my mouth and I would just like, I could only chew it really slowly, and I just like really didn't feel like eating it. I do think part of it probably was fatigue, but there definitely was part of it that was not. Like, I don't think that was entirely the reason. And I don't know what the reason is. I really don't. I just got to the point where like my head hurts, my eyes were hurting as well, and I'm like crying, and then I'm just like, I have to go to bed. Like, I just feel so horrible right now. So I make it to bed and I'm just crying, sobbing, if we're gonna be honest. And of course, because my nose is already problematic, but now I'm crying, so now I have to clean out my nose more, and my nose is irritated, my eyes hurt, my head hurts, I'm fatigued, but then I feel gross and I want to shower, but I can't. And I just started feeling dark. Like I just felt hopeless. This happens every time I'm in a period where I'm really fatigued, but I think part of this hopelessness was just thinking like, is this fatigue gonna last forever. There's always a little bit of like, when is it gonna end? Is it going to end? So that could have been part of it, but I think there was just so much piling on that made me feel this way. And yeah, it just kind of all came to a head that night. And oddly enough, my eyes hurt for like many days, and I couldn't figure out why. The only thing that I think maybe could contribute is the fact that I was watching so much YouTube. Like, I was looking at a screen for so long every single day, and I was reading that eye strain can cause your eyes to hurt. But it was really odd. Like, I don't know if this is what eye strain is, but it would be like if I looked way up or I looked way down or to the side or something, then like it would just hurt like back here. Not like on my eye, but like kind of like in the back. And I've never had that before. So there were just all these things that I was experiencing that I hadn't had before, and just everything happening all at once. And I definitely felt really dark, and I felt like I was having a hard time mentally that day. Like, I wasn't seeing a lot of hope. I didn't want to get out of bed. And I feel a lot better now. I still feel like I have the fatigue. My cold is pretty much gone, but I definitely still am feeling like the after effects of everything that I experienced. And I still think that I may be a little depressed because I'm still every morning not wanting to get out of bed. And once again, that's not a normal thing for me. I just want to say I'm okay. No one needs to worry about me. I don't like when people worry about me. I'm gonna be fine. But I just wanted to share this with you because it's important to me, and I think because this is something that I experience kind of on the regular, at least with my chronic fatigue. Obviously, many of the things that I mentioned are things that are kind of new for me, but with the chronic fatigue, this is something I've been dealing with for years and something that I've never heard anyone else talk about. So I wanted to share that with you and hopefully make you feel less alone if this is something that you experience, or if you're just going through a hard time. You know what? Everyone's going through something in their life, and we all have good and bad periods, and unfortunately, I've been going through a bit of a rough period. I hope your life is going better than mine right now. However it's going, leave it in the comments below. We can have a little conversation about that. The video that took me a month to edit is now up. I posted it, it's all done. So please check that out. Once again, it is how to not care what people think of you and take control of your life. It's more of a heartfelt video, kind of like this one, but I did think a lot about what I was gonna say before actually sitting down to film the video, because I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of actionable tips that you could take after watching it. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please check it out. If you enjoyed today's video, please like it, subscribe for similar content in the future. You can also follow me over on Instagram at moniqueava.nutrition. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching. Partially edited it. It was a really odd meal, like really weird, very abnormal. At least I got stuff in me, but yeah, ugh. I've literally just been sitting here feeling tired, trying to think of what I wanted to say, and I can't remember for the past couple of minutes. So